Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to this session. I'm Greer Shivers. I'm the GIS analyst for the Wilmington Urban Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. Mouthful, but I will be your moderator today. And so we're going to kick this session off with Keith Watkins from the city of Greensboro. He is their EAM and GIS administrator, and he's going to kind of go over the Curating a Public Experience Builder, GSO near me. And his specialty at work is that he wants to improve, or his big goal is to improve the city's asset management system by incorporating geographic analysis, data management, and user empowerment. Give it away.
Yep. So my name is Keith Watkins. She said, work for the city of Greensboro. Started off my journey as an intern in the transportation department and just kind of weaseled my way up through over the last few years. So I'm managing the EAM and GIS enterprise systems. That's what I do on a regular basis. And then sometimes the city manager's office just comes up with these awesome ideas and they need someone to implement it. So our team implements them. I've got a great team behind me. I've got a Python developer. I've got a knowledge base expert. I've started working with Experience Builder and it's been a pretty great experience. Yeah. But today I'm going to talk about kind of the application that we developed, GSO Near Me, and how it has been curated to accommodate a variety of users and different kinds of devices and so on. So let's go ahead and get started on here with an agenda. Right, the abstract, you'll pick it up as we go through. Generally, we got over 22 dashboards embedded in an Experience Builder, all fueled by URL parameters. They go to 3 different devices and it's all hosted, so it's snappy, lightning fast. So today we're going to talk about why we need this, how we built it, how do you use it, and we'll save us a little bit of time at the end for questions. I got a recorded demo that's supposed to be 5 minutes, and we'll do our best to showcase it that way. I'm usually up here doing the live thing, but we'll do it a little bit safer today. If you want to try out our app, you can go ahead and grab this URL. You could probably do it during the presentation just to follow along with me, but we have 3 different flavors, one for mobile phone, one for tablet, one for desktop. So give it a try if you want to. The QR code will be available at the end as well if you want to pick it up then. So why we built it. We have a maps and app gallery for the city of Greensboro where we have a ton of great apps, from web app builder, we have dashboards, we have just strict web maps, all fueling our data-oriented system so that citizens or people who live in the surrounding area can find information related to trails and greenways, zoning districts. You can see all these examples here. And so each one of these is its own dedicated application, each developed at another time, most of them by our own Todd Hayes, who's sitting here with me. Say wave hi, Todd. So he's been a huge help passing some of this knowledge on about all these other applications. And we wanted to try to combine these into a single application to allow for just ease of use, so that instead of having to open each one of these up in its own browser, find your address and then zoom in, we made one place to find this information, and it provides a slew of information that we'll kind of go through. How we built it. We go through a ton of processing. It's a 2.5 to 3 hour Python process that runs every Saturday night into Sunday morning. And it goes through and we find the nearest police stations, hospitals, libraries, museums. It goes through 120 parks. It goes through all these trailhead locations for 186,000 addresses. And there's 24 individual Python scripts that run consecutively with error management in between, just to make sure that everything goes well. And ultimately, it all goes into a hosted layer with 186,000 records with 90 fields that contain IDs for filtering downstream. The process that we use is a spiraling buffer. The image here shows a variety of different types of locations that we'd be looking for, but when a process starts, you have an XY location where the house is, and it kind of goes around, the buffer increases and increases until it finds the very first fire station. It adds it to an array, and it appends it to fire station 1 in that table. It'll then go and find 4 other fire stations, just because we wanted to be able to showcase each fire station and kind of rank them according to the distance, because it's not always the closest fire station within Euclidean distance that'll serve you. It has to do with the routing and the network and the different areas. So we showcased a few other things there. But generally, we have a spiraling buffer, ever increasing until it reaches the capacity of the array, which is usually 5 to 6 features, depending on what we're trying to find. We also have a point and polygon drill down that we go through. It's generally an identify tool, but we have close to 10 or 12 different layers related to city limits, tax parcels, property info. And so we take every XY and we identify and pull in each of these attributes. And these are part of those 90 fields that we have calculated. And all this stuff happens once a week. So none of it has to happen within the application during runtime. So it makes it a lot faster, because Esri has a wonderful Near Me tool that you can incorporate now into Experience Builder, but that requires the process to run on the fly. And the more layers you add in there, the longer it takes. And the whole point of this was to curate the public experience, where you have to make something simple, and you can't have something spinning for minutes and minutes, especially with city council. They don't want that. They just want to know. They'd rather have a piece of paper. And so if you're trying to sell something to city council, either make it super easy or just give them a PDF map, so it's complicated. You have to think about your end audience and how they're going to consume it. And it's an important consideration when you're building these. As I mentioned before, when I submitted this, there were 22 dashboards. I think we're up to like 24, 25 dashboards that are each pulled using URL parameters. This is just an example of the process within Experience Builder here. When you put an embed widget in, you can set it to embed by URL, and you can utilize an existing feature, which I have here, the GSO Near Me points. That's the 186,000 record address point layer that we have. And so when you go through the process of searching for your address, that selects this feature and it passes parameters for park 1 through 5, all the way down to the embedded URL, which is a dashboard that is filtered using those values. And so you end up with the first park, second park, third park, all ranked according to distance. And you also get a few other little treats in there, some amenities for each of those parks as well. But generally speaking, the whole thing is built and filled with Python and then served with URL parameters to existing dashboards, a ton of dashboards. Within Experience Builder, there are a ton of configuration options that I don't have time to really delve into this time. But one of the most important things that I was put in charge of was making sure that this application could be usable by the powers that will. They may only want to see it on a tablet. Maybe that's all they have. For upper management, just looking at the stuff, maybe they don't have their laptop with them. They want to look at this. We made an app last year for desktop, didn't really look good on tablet. No one used it. So this year, they're still not using it, but I built it for all those different versions on here. So within Experience Builder, you have 18 different preset aspect ratios that you can choose from. So I looked at everything from like the little tiny iPhone SE all the way up to my giant monitor. And you have to look at each one of those before you go live, because the scaling and the rendering can change a lot between these applications. I mean, you have one JPEG set for maybe only 10% of the width, but then you blow it up and 10% is out of control. You try to do just points, it doesn't work. So it takes a lot of fine tweaking to get it to a certain point, but you have a lot of options in here to test this. When you get in there, you can see these different options on here, and it's very easy to switch between them, but it can get a little bit confusing as soon as you start to build those different views, because you turn off auto, so everything is set just for phones. So you start changing text here and changing text there, and you think you're not affecting everything else, then the main dashboard page now shows the wrong text. So just keep those things in mind as you're moving forward. But as I said, we've developed this for a variety of platforms. I've been able to test it on PCs, Mac, iPads, iPhones, Android phones. If anyone has an Android tablet, I'd be really interested to know if this loads. So just see me after the show. I don't have one, but it's okay. But generally speaking, if you're trying to push something out that you feel is important and you want a lot of people to see, being able to put it in their hands or their pockets or on their desk is very important, and they shouldn't have to choose. And that's how I kind of fed this to the group as I was developing it, that they should just be able to go to greensboro.nc.gov/GSO Near Me, and they should be able to access the page, and they shouldn't have to turn their phone, and they shouldn't have to zoom in. So It took a lot of development, but it brought us to a good point. So I recorded this ahead of time. She's going to be controlling it through here, so I may be telling her to pause periodically as we go through, but if you wouldn't mind, could you start the video playing, please? Very good. Okay, so this is GSO Near Me. This is a landing page that you get to where you can go from property info, trash and recycling, trails and greenways, and it's all curated based on the input address at the top. It defaults to City Hall so that when you load this page, you don't have to make a selection to get any good data. So it'll load right to City Hall, but then you can start searching for addresses. If you've entered one before, you can utilize that. You can start typing, and we published a geolocator from the address point feature class that we have, so it searches for those. And then you just find a variety of information. If you could pause right here, please. Oh, sorry, keep going. Sorry, keep going. There's also a map search. If you don't know the address, you can zoom in, you can select, and selecting a feature here reloads it in the background, and it's done. Okay, if you could pause now, please. Thank you. So within this page, we have a lot of property information related to parcel ID. We worked with Guilford County to acquire some of their, we were able to build an interface into their oblique imagery so that we pass the address parcel and it lets us filter so that this is the oblique imagery for this exact address. We also have a link here that you'll see in just a sec that will bring you over to the property information page from Guilford County. So that's the property info on there. We also have information related to neighborhoods. We have public transportation and city council and mayor on there. So you can hit play, please. So you can click on this, it brings you to Guilford County. You can see any information, you can print it from here if you'd like to. You have access to their mapping page as well. And Stephen Dew's over here, and I don't think he knew that we were using his data here. So hey buddy. Yep. But you also have information related to the bus stops, neighborhoods, and like I said, city council and such. So we'll see how this goes through. There's a lot of pictures. It's nice and consumable. You can also see building permits for a specific address. If there's work being done on that project, it has to go through the city for either its plan review or building inspections. And this is just for City Hall, so you can see one of the building permits for City Hall shows you the total construction value. If you're interested in a large development in your area or in Greensboro, you can search for it on the map, identify it, and you can see the general cost that they're associating with it. I just linked to our experience builder from last year, just other information about city council districts as well as development activities. So there's links to a bunch of stuff within the application as well. It's just nice and condensed into one area. So moving back to an address other than City Hall, we have trash and recycling info. You get the day of the week your trash is picked up. It's pretty easy information to find, but at least it's in one place and it's specific to each address. You also find the glass recycling, household waste recycling centers that's specific to you. There was a game in there. You can play that at any time you want. But we also, if you could pause here for 1 sec, we also have built in a secondary tab for each one of these pages. So you have my trash and recycling info, but that doesn't show you all the locations throughout the city. So we wanted to incorporate a tab on here for all locations. There's a different filtering mechanism here. You can really search throughout the city for a place to bring your yard waste, household materials, and so on. We have this built into the other pages as well, parks, trails, because you get the near me stuff, but it's also a really cool lookup to find other things throughout the city. So you'll see those, and I just wanted to touch on that before they started coming in. If you could hit play again, please. Thank you. So this is our trailhead locations. This shows all the trails that are closest to your address. We've got that oblique imagery pointing to what the parking lot looks like, so you know ahead of time what it's supposed to look like. You can select any of these from the side. It filters the map, shows you the parking location in relation to your house, and it just provides other information for those trailheads. Each one of those blue hyperlinks with an address brings you to Google from your location. You get driving directions to any of these places. That's coded in, so you don't even have to think about it. And this is the parks. This is my favorite page. It has a nice flow. You can see all the amenities for the closest parks nearby. If you want to see a specific amenity in your area, basketball, it tells you which park to go to. Playground, same thing. You get 2 parks, shows you where they are, driving directions if you want. But in all parks, let's say you're interested in finding a dog park near you, because that's what I'm always looking for whenever I'm looking for a place to go. You can filter so you see all the dog parks within the city. You can show it on the map by selecting them. There's driving directions to each. And you can also search for those parks in this list over here where it says all city parks. In culture and entertainment, we have museums, libraries, and entertainment venues. Can you pause right here, please? And I've also built a ton of symbology. This looks very much like the Greensboro Cultural Center. In Publisher, I just did a bunch of polygons, grouped them, saved them as a image. And so every time you click on one of these, either entertainment or museums, the buildings actually look like they do in real life. I'm a nerd, and if I'm looking at a map, I don't want to have to, I want to have to think, but I want people to know inherently what it is. And if you live in the city of Greensboro and you've seen some of these buildings, I think that I'll show you like the Coliseum here in a sec. But it's just the building symbology looks like the building. So it's fun stuff. You can hit play, please. Okay, and each one of those links brings you to an external web page as well on the city's website. But there's the ACC Hall of Champions, the libraries come up the same way, and they're all grouped by first, second, and third with regards to closeness. This is community safety. You get fire station, closest hospital, police station, closest safe place, so you know some of those information. And then you get elected city council member. You see your district, it shows you on the map. And every time you change your address up here in the top, it's refiltering on the fly. And because they're hosted layers, it goes pretty darn quick. Like it's going through a ton of different layers out there, like passing those URL parameters, making selections, filtering. Can you pause that for 1 sec? And it wasn't always this fast because it wasn't always hosted, and we didn't always pre-process everything before it got to these pages. So there's some things that you can do with the background to get your data ready that you got to have a wizard on your team. And I have a wizard, Skip Daniels. You probably heard that name before, but you tell him anything you want to do, and he freaking does it. And it's amazing. So I wouldn't be here without him and the rest of my team, like showcasing this application. But even with the great app, there's always a need for improvement. So we built a survey 123 into this so that if a citizen is seeing that maybe they're missing something, maybe the data is not right, this gives them an opportunity to input the information. We've been live for a month and no one's taken my survey. So if you get a chance to try out the app, try it on the desktop, try it on the mobile phone, but just let us know what you think. If you want to reach out or you want me to reach back out to you, you can incorporate information like an email address. We can reach out and talk, but I can talk about this stuff forever. You know, it's really interesting to me, and it's not even my main responsibility. I'm supposed to be managing EAM. So when I get a chance to do tasks like this, it takes effort to break myself away, but I can really get in, and there's just so much going on in Experience Builder that you can incorporate so much that you could originally find in dashboards or instant apps or web app builder. And they've done a really good job with ArcGIS Online, making the Experience Builder very, very useful. A lot of the functionality within this application is centered around the main search widget. If you can hit play, please. Where you're looking for that address. We publish the geolocator, so it's fast. It selects the correct address on there. But without that search and being able to pass all those parameters, the ease of use kind of starts to trickle down or just trickle away. But so if you're trying to build something like this in Experience Builder, but you're trying to build it in Portal, the current version that we're set at, we don't have the search function. So we wanted to build this in ArcGIS Online anyway, because it's a public facing, but when I try to recreate this for a more internal application, you run into some headaches when you're trying to do that. So we have workarounds where we're utilizing the enterprise data in ArcGIS Online, and but that gets too complicated. And here I am talking again, but it's been about 9 months of development here. All right. Any questions out there? Anyone working with Experience Builder? If you don't want to talk about it now, I do have my contact info on there. Just let's talk shop. There's not many people who are really utilizing this right now, so just get on it. It's a cool tool. Yes.
How easy is it to set up? How easy? Is it on? Yeah. How easy is it to set up the widget to view the street view?
So Street View is going to be complicated because you can't utilize Google's API or interface and link it out to Google. What we have here was generously provided by Guilford County. So they pay for a service that provides them with oblique imagery. And what we've done is used our address point layer, calculated the XY coordinates, and passed it into the URL for the viewer so that, and we have that pre-calculated in a one of those fields. So it pulls open that XY zoomed to a certain extent so that you can see that. So this is kind of custom made for this. Google doesn't like to play nice anymore. You used to be able to link out an ArcMap. There was an add-in, you can see an asset. If it had an XY, we're good to go. But nowadays you can't link directly to Google to get that street view. So we had to pivot, and thank you, Stephen Dew. Yeah, he was very helpful in getting this set up, and it's actually one of my favorite parts, being able to see the oblique imagery. I'd look at my house. There was a big metal bucket that I had doing yard work. You can see it. I was like, oh, I should have just put it away, but I didn't. So, but it's cool. It's if you have an address or you want to just look around the application, the oblique imagery is available on several different pages within the app, where you can see the trash recycling locations. Like I showed the parking for the trailheads. It's just a bunch of info on there.
So is that processing going on in the background, or is that something that's?
All the processing happens on Saturday night into Sunday morning. So it's 2.5 to 3 hours. It might be over 3 hours now because I had to incorporate another geo process, but it's 24 Python scripts that run consecutively just to process, do the point and polygon, spiral buffer. We also utilize that to publish out those hosted layers to our ArcGIS Online. So this stuff all happens in the background, so that the only thing that's actually happening at runtime is a strict filter from that URL parameter on whatever layers are inside those dashboards. So it's pretty quick. Before it was hosted, it used to take, I would say, 14 seconds to, once you search for an address and select it. And I think it's down to like 5 or 6 seconds now. So it's hosting your data is very effective. Keeping your hosted data up to date can get cumbersome unless you've got a wizard. I've got a wizard, so it's not that hard for me, but it's important to put that into perspective. If you can schedule some of the stuff ahead of time, save time at runtime, the app just kind of sings, and that's what we're going for here. An easy app that serves a ton of information, maybe too much information, definitely too much information. They just wanted more and more and more, and Experience Builder let us kind of group those into those tabs, and it's effective. It really is. And you could do tabs and dashboards before, like story maps. You could really pull those in, but this interface now, it's much more customizable. And as you might have seen on here, like I built cards so that when you get on there, there's a picture of what each kind of thing is about. So you're not just clicking on words. You can click on any part of this here and it brings you to the correct tab. You can go back home if you need to. And we just wanted to make it very friendly. And there's so much processing happening in the background, but the user has no idea. It just loads, it works. And that's what we wanted. And so people will probably still not use this, and I'll go back to doing EAM, but I sure did learn a lot about Experience Builder. And that was a fun hat to wear for 9 months, 10 months, I guess it was, but awesome. Anyone else? Yes.
Hey there. This is awesome. So I'm Kevin, the technical advisor for everybody that has Eagle View here. So thank you for that plug for the oblique imagery.
Yes, thank you for the oblique imagery.
So when I was our county GIS developer in Chatham County, Georgia, apparently their office gets all of our calls because they're like #1 in Google results and we were #2. So I created a couple custom widgets for Web App Builder, and one of them was the Street View widget. Just so everybody knows, you're right. A long time ago, you could just link into Street View and Google Earth. It's mostly the end user license agreement. They don't want you linking in.
That's right.
Now, technically, if anyone's interested, you didn't hear this. Do we have anyone here from Google? So I have a GitHub repo And if you go on GeoNet and search for, my county deleted my old username, but if you search for Kevin's custom widgets, there is a Street View widget there that works perfectly well. And you can see it on my page, sagis.org for Chatham County, Savannah, on the parcel viewer. You don't need an API key to do this if you look at how the URL works to link into it. But historically, it was legit. If you're paying for an API key, I still think you're allowed, if you're paying for an API key. I'm not 100% sure, but that would be the key is finding out whether you can still pay for an API key and then link into it. Historically, you used to be able to, if you paid for it. Second, I have a question though. You were showing you were talking about the difference between mobile and desktop and how they look and work differently. I created our page with Bootstrap so that, you know, when you hit different breakpoints, like when you're at like 760 by whatever, it'll render everything, you know, this way. And then when you're on a phone, everything will be vertical. The hamburger menu in the upper right will appear. This may be a dumb question because I based everything on Web App Builder, and I tried Experience Builder 2 years ago and it wasn't ready. So when you are, can you create breakpoints where it behaves differently at different screen sizes?
So you can, within Experience Builder, the slide that I showed that had the 18 different aspect ratios, once you cross the threshold to they're kind of cascading where it goes smallest to largest here. Once you've gone into the category of tablet size, it does load the other view. And so you can customize how it looks by moving widgets around in Experience Builder. But since everything is an embedded dashboard for me, I've got dashboards for each one of these pages for each version of the app, for each app size. So it's going to be a bear to maintain if we got to make changes. But at least for now, it works very well. But you have to build an individual dashboard and configure it, layer the different things on there, and then pass the same URL parameters to that. But you can do it. It just takes some thought.
So you can have multiple. So historically, like for example, with Web App Builder, there was only 2 sizes. There was like desktop and mobile. Are you saying you can have like 4, 5, 6 different
3
sizes?
You can have 3. Yep.
Okay.
And what I found is there with the new update, I know we got 2 minutes, the new update to ArcGIS Online that went out in June. If you go into dashboards and you click on the little computer icon, you can create a mobile view now. So it allows you to copy widgets from the parent dashboard desktop and you put it on to this mobile view that is really only meant for like iPhone or like a mobile phone. But what I found when I was presenting for the directors, I had done that, but for some reason, even though it was in a wide aspect, it still loaded the mobile version. And so I was done. I just built a dashboard for each. So I have
the browser was zoomed, maybe, I don't know.
What was that?
There might have been zoom in the browser, like 125% or
It was at 100. It was at, and I turned down the display property, so it wasn't zoomed in there either on the desktop. So it was a bug, and I should have put it in to Esri, but I deleted that dashboard section. But you can do it. It's a possibility, and there are some videos out there for customizing Experience Builder for these different versions. I hadn't found one to help customize the dashboard, so I just built them out. But maybe eventually the system will work better and I can just work from 22 dashboards. That'd be amazing instead of 25 or 26. But thank you guys so much. I know we're out of time. We got something else, but thank you.